Good evening and welcome to the Town Board Legislative Meeting for Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. Would everyone please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Would the town clerk please call the roll?
Cinti.
Here.
Drawe.
Here.
Kohl.
Here.
Lee is absent. Ockenden.
Here.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to note that we have one half of the Wonder Twins, Carrie Ivers, the Director of Developmental Services, is here, and our town attorney, Mr. Horwitz. So we have several communications and announcements this evening, so we'll jump right into those. Starting with the town clerk, would you like to announce?
I don't have any tonight.
Okay. Mr. Ockenden.
Yes, thank you. I have one tonight. The town of Penfield will be hosting a free brush drop-off event for town residents on Saturday, May 7th from 8 to 4 p.m. at the Penfield Highway Department, 1607 Jackson Road. Some of the accepted materials will be branches and shrubs. The Highway Department's notified us of some things that are not accepted, are large stumps, leaves, grass clippings, concrete, or other debris. Please follow the signage and instructions from the staff when you arrive on site at the highway garage. Contractors are not permitted to dump materials unless accompanied by the town resident for which they're doing the work for. And should you have any questions on this, you can contact the Department of Public Works, 340-8710. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Councilperson Ockenden?
Nope, thank you.
All right. Councilperson Drawe.
Yes, thank you. My announcement tonight is the Town of Penfield's annual Memorial Day Ceremony of Remembrance will be held at 10:30 a.m. on Monday, May 30th. The ceremony is held at the Penfield Amphitheater in the shadows of the beautiful Veterans Memorial in Veterans Memorial Park at 3100 Atlantic Avenue behind our town hall. This moving ceremony features a variety of tributes to our veterans, including guest speaker Dan Murphy, essays by middle school students, and reflective music. A highlight of the ceremony is Penfield's traditional presentation of roses. During this time, community members honor and remember a fallen military personnel with a rose placed on the Veterans Memorial Monument Stone. To participate and honor a fallen service member, please register at the town's website, www.penfield.org/events, or by calling Sabrina at Penfield Recreation, 585-340-8655. And I see on our screen there's that information as well. So hopefully we'll see everyone out on May 30th at our rose ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilperson Kohl.
Yeah, I'd like to make the announcement for the next community golf tournament. This is really cool because it's the town of Penfield, the Kiwanis Club, and the Penfield Rotary Club all come together to do one golf tournament versus like all separately to go to the charities that affect Penfield. So this year, the honorary chairman is going to be Jim Costello, our former Director of Developmental Services, who was very busy in this for years and helped get the groups together to do the golf tournament. So it's going to be on Monday, June 20th. Registration's at 9 in the morning, lunch is at 10:30, shotgun starts 11:30, dinner's at 5, raffle and awards ceremony at 5:30. So for lunch, dinner, and golf, it's $150, or dinner only $40 at the Shadow Lake Golf Club, 5 Mile Line, Penfield. And there's a number of organizations who will be affected: the Galisano Children's Center, the Penfield Little League, Villa of Hope, Scouts, St. Peter's Kitchen, Bethany House, Mary Cariola, Shepherd Home, Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf, Camp Hakimo. All these are different organizations who will get the funds that are derived from this charity golf tournament. If you're interested in participating, there's you can go to any of those Facebook pages of those organizations, but also it's easier. Suzanne Hilt from Kiwanis is the person that's taken the registrations. I don't know if it was on the screen just now, but that's sujoee@gmail.com to make a reservation. But there'll be a lot of publicity coming up on this. One should register by June 6th, so we have a month. But please consider this. It's very important. It's a nice charitable thing to do in the community and get us all together for a fun day of golf, even if you don't golf. I'll be there, but I don't golf. And anyway, it's a great collaboration, and I just want to make sure people are aware. We'll be mentioning this often, I think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have several announcements. The first is to remind you that this Saturday is Good Neighbor Day. This is in memory of our good friend, Terry Rothfuss, who was a very dedicated person in the community who helped out many people. Good Neighbor Day is organized through Penfield Recreation. If you would like to participate, please contact Penfield Recreation directly. I'd also like to shout out to our town clerk. It is Town Clerk's Week, Appreciation Week, correct?
It is. I completely forgot.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And keeping us organized and recording everything properly.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And please extend our gratitude to your staff as well.
Thank you.
I also have two more announcements. One is that we have secured services of a language interpretation service. So if someone comes to the town hall and English is not their first language and they need some assistance with translation, please let a staff person at the town know, and they will call a number and have somebody assist with translation services. This is a fee based on service, so we pay only for what we use. But we think that given the fact that our community is becoming more diverse, this is a really good way to meet the needs of our community. So please know that. Also, Oil and Stone. It's that time of year again. We each year we treat 10 to 15% of our town-owned roads with an application of oil and stone. This is going to start next week, weather permitting. The town does not apply oil and stone as an alternative to paving. Instead, the surface is a preventative maintenance to prolong the life of roadways, similar to the practice of residential driveway sealing. The resurfacing process moves along quickly, and access to roads will be disrupted for only 10 to 15 minutes. Roads can be driven on immediately at a reduced speed of 10 to 15 miles per hour. DPW street sweepers will clean up loose stones within a few weeks of application. Now, to find out if your street is scheduled to be treated this way, you can go to our website under Projects of Community Interest. So that's www.penfield.org/projects of community interest, and then you will find Oil and Stone, and it'll have a list of the roads being serviced this year. Okay? And I believe we have a special presentation from Barbara Quinn from our Dayton's Corner School. And if you'd like to come up and join us, we'd love to hear from you.
Miss Linda, sitting up straight and tall. Talk about you later. Wonderful, wonderful. Yes, I'm Barbara Quinn. Do I give my address? 68 Harwood Circle, AKA Miss Brooks, proud coordinator of the Penfield's historic 1857 Dayton's Corners Schoolhouse Museum. And this year, we are celebrating the school's 165th birthday. So we have Supervisor Cinti and board members, please sit up straight and tall, feet flat on your floor, hands clasped. I would like to know where your hands are at all times. Put your listening ears on and pay attention. I'm pleased to come before you after 2 years away because of COVID to tell you about another very successful year at our beautiful Dayton's Corners School with 30-plus classes of fourth graders visiting. Those who come are always so appreciative of what we do and what we offer, and they're so attentive to our presentations. I'm here also to invite everyone to our annual Dayton's Corners School Pie Social, with free pony rides for the kids, to be held on Sunday afternoon, June 5th, from 2 to 4. And I did put a flyer on your desk for you.
We're showing it on the screen, actually.
Oh, excellent. Oh, nice. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you for that. It's such an enjoyable and relaxing step back into history. And by the way, I checked the Farmer's Almanac, and it tells us that it should be in the 70s with only a 10% chance of rain. But Linda, we know how that goes, don't we? Yeah. Okay. And after many years of having a very successful and well-attended event, I have again ordered extra pies and cookies from Baker Street Bakery, and thank you to Penfield residents Bill and Mary Ellen Leonardo at their Baker Street Bakery. And I'm so happy that people come from all over our community to enjoy the pies, the cookies, lemonade, pony rides, music, playground equipment, tours of the school, and informative conversations with the teachers. And I encourage a graduate of Dayton's Corner School, who's right here behind me, class of 1955. I didn't catch his name, I'm sorry. Welcome. So come to our pie social. We always ask for photographs if they have anything that we can put up on the wall or anything we can make a copy of to have at the school. It's so great. I'm very proud of our many teachers who tirelessly volunteer their time, talent, and expertise to teach the fourth graders who come to Dayton's Corner School. Our teachers work hard to bring the true flavor of the 1857 one-room schoolhouse to life. And we teachers learn something new every year. There have been many improvements over the years that I've seen at the historic Dayton's Corner Schoolhouse. We had 3, and I have a small paper that has 6 pictures of things that have been improved. 3 windows on the south side of the school were completely restored, and we're looking to restore the 3 on the north side of the school. The old cracked slate sidewalk was replaced with a beautiful cement sidewalk. A new 5-gallon hot water tank was installed in the kitchen. That's the new section, 1920. Yeah, okay. Girls' bathroom was made into a wheelchair-accessible bathroom. A new slide was installed in the playground after the 81-mile-an-hour wind took down 3 large branches from an old tree on the property in 2017. A young Norway maple tree has been planted on the grounds in memory of former Dayton's Corners teacher, Miss Bridget Tierno, and a plaque dedicated to her was mounted on a boulder and placed under the tree. A beautiful painting of our 1857 school, which was painted by and donated by local artist Priscilla Anderson, hangs on a wall just inside the school. Now, over the years, of course, we've lost many Dayton's Corners teachers to age, illness, or moving away. And I really always encourage anyone interested in joining our staff, contact me or even the history room over at the library. We'd love to have you on board. I already have 2 teachers one from Webster, one from Penfield, who have been coming for years with their classes, and they said this is what they're going to do because they're going to retire this year. And I would like to thank Supervisor Cinti, who supports this historic Penfield landmark, and hopefully we can get her to join us in cutting some pies on that day. Remember, we used to tell somebody to cut more pies than you eat. But we also thank Kathy Knauer for always keeping in touch with me on so many issues, and our liaison, Linda Kohl. Thank you so much. We invite all board members to come help that day. It's only 2 hours, and it's a wonderful time. So don't forget Sunday, June 5th, from 2 to 4 for the annual Pie Social. And I thank you for the time.
Thank you very much
Absolutely.
for the presentation. How many students are you having visit this year now that we're kind of back in business?
We were able to get 30 plus, maybe 35 classes. And sometimes it's 24, 25 students. Sometimes it's a few more, sometimes a few less. But mostly Webster and Penfield.
So it's really almost 1,000 students that every year that get to
Right.
experience it.
And we were able to cover the classes this year with a lot of extra time, a lot of extra work on some of our parts, just to make sure the kids come. And a lot of them did not stay for lunch. They decided, or their schools decided, that they would just come and, but they wanted recess. So we wanted to make sure. And we had indoor recess, beautiful games, wooden games, wooden toys, even checkers and so on that we pull out, and the kids have a blast doing it. In fact, a lot of them keep saying every time, can we just come to this school to have school? I said, we have electricity and running water. We have blackboards, chalkboards. So I said, there's no Wi-Fi, there's no little iPads, there's nothing 21st century. But I think they like it because they kind of relax and sit back and enjoy, and they all participate. And I ask them if I can pick on them in case we have to do a punishment or we have to do something else, and they all are say, yes, me.
Well, I had the good fortune to visit earlier, I think February, and it was a lot of fun. And you're right, people aren't distracted by other things. You had their attention completely.
It's true.
So very good.
And when the kids come, they have the wondering and wandering time, so they can go around and they can touch everything. It's not like it's a hands-off museum, but if they want to touch something, a game, or if they want to touch, we have a beautiful selection of dolls from Laura Ingalls Wilder's Little House on the Prairie. It was donated. Everything in there has been donated, basically. And I said, yeah, touch them and hold them and so on. So that's a little bit something different than going to a museum where you can't. Can you just look at it?
Remember the pen and inkwell was a big hit too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now
They can't
they don't
wait
teach
for
writing
that.
anymore, and then they take that out and start trying to write their names and stuff like that. That's fun.
Yep, and they're given a quill pen to use, and for their first name, dip it in, tap it off, and then a modern-day steel tip pen, of course, for their last name or whatever it is, but they can't wait for that, too. I know. Thanks for that, Linda.
Barbara, I have such fond memories of being a chaperone for
Right.
both my kids and
Oh,
their
good.
fourth grade trips, and I want to make sure you thank all the teachers and the volunteers that, as well as yourself, that make this experience. There's very few towns I don't know that do this, and we're very, very fortunate to have it here in Penfield. Have you?
Well,
here?
I think we're the only school in the one-room schoolhouse that is still a school, still being held, classes are still being held there and so on. There used to be 32 in this area. And they either have burned down or were taken down or are made into homes, like District Number 10 up Plank Road.
Yeah, that one.
Or our florist shops. There used to be one, I was at the corner of Atlantic and Jackson for 30 years, and there used to be one on the corner, on the southeast corner. It burned down. One night, it just caught fire, and they just let it go. So,
We're very lucky.
I know. So
we really want to thank you.
Well, thank you for letting me have the
preserving
time.
heritage of Penfield. We really appreciate all
well,
your
come and
effort.
enjoy. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, I believe that concludes our communication and announcements. So we'll move on. We have 2 public hearings this evening. Our first public hearing, would the town clerk like to announce it?
Sure, to consider an amendment to the zoning map and rezone portions of 1788, 1790, and 1794 Penfield Road from residential R120 to Four Corners District. This legal notice was published in the Webster Herald on April 20th, 2022, posted on the town website and town clerk bulletin board. 21 postcards were mailed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Horwitz, is this properly before the town board?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you. I'm going to actually turn to Ms. Ivers to tee this up for us.
Thank you. So as we discussed when this first was presented to the board and requesting the public hearing, there are these 3 parcels along Penfield Road. The back portion of the lots are zoned R120. When Four Corners District was created, there was sort of a set line from the center line of a distance, and so it created what we call a split zoned parcel. So the front portion of the lot is zoned Four Corners, but the rear portion is zoned differently. The new owners of the property inquired about the prospect of rezoning the entirety of the parcels so they'd all be under one. As staff, I supported that potential option and brought it to the board. It has been reviewed by the planning board I want to just double check that it's either on the way to the planning board or it's been reviewed by the planning board, and I do apologize. I'll verify that and inform the board. But certainly the first step in the process is to have a public hearing. The applicant's agent is here and can make a brief presentation and answer any questions that you have.
Okay, would the person like to come forward, please? And this is the time for anyone to comment on this application, so if you would like to speak in person, please let us know, and then you could also call us at 340-8771 or reach us online at penfield.org. And would you please state your name and address?
Kohl Papasurgery. I'm with Marathon Engineering, 39 Cascade Drive, Rochester, New York. And this is Max Eberts.
Yep, Max Eberts. So I'm one of the owners of the parcel over there. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good evening, Mrs. Chairman, the members of the board. We're here, as Carrie said, to consolidate the zoning of these three parcels, all under Four Corners District, to make it consistent and to simplify marketing or any future development of these lots or part of these lots.
Okay.
No development is proposed at this time.
Okay. And also I just wanted to ask, Ms. Ivers, is this also before the comp plan committee or not?
I have to double check with the town planner, and just to verify, this is going to be reviewed at the planning board's meeting next week.
Okay.
So that'll be reviewed. Not sure if it's been referred to the comprehensive plan committee.
I don't necessarily think it needed to be, I just was
Right.
asking. And do we need to keep the public hearing open because it's before planning?
We don't need to. That's just
Okay.
simply a referral back to the board, so that doesn't go to the planning board as a separate or for its own consideration.
Okay.
You're free to close the public hearing tonight if you'd like to.
Okay, thank you very much. Does the town board have any questions?
I do as well. Carrie, maybe you could just, on your pointer here, will you point to those three properties?
I
just so
certainly can.
everyone knows where we're talking about.
Yep, and forgive me, the computer's a little bit slow, so
That's okay.
I'm pointing to if you can all see the arrow of where this is, I'll click on them quickly. Unfortunately, the little menu pops up and blocks your complete view of
That's
the
okay.
parcel that you're trying to identify. But this first one, the second one is here, and then the third is here. That's parcel that's got Chick Magnet, just to orient yourself,
Yep.
is this little building back here. And just as we've talked about, I believe, at the work session where this was first discussed, you'll note that the plaza where Hung Hwa is located underwent a similar rezoning some time ago in order to allow development to happen in this portion. And you'll see here that this is the line that the zoning would be extended to just the rear property line and would go no further.
Okay, and so it looks like we're kind of just cleaning this up, but then also we've set precedent already. This is something that's already been done with the plaza next to it. Okay, thank you. Questions, further questions?
So quick, Carrie, one other thing on that piece, the continuation of the back in that area from Hung Hwa, the parking, the road to all extend, the access road, I'm sorry, thank you. The access road, that is still open to clean that up and continue that on through, correct?
Yeah, so I think that in the future, with this zoning all being one, expands the potential for development. Right now, the only thing that could happen on these small little parcels, and each of them probably wouldn't meet the standard required, you could only build a single-family home, which behind Penfield Road probably wouldn't be, there's not really a market for that. And so this would allow for the potential for parking expansion, if that was something that the surrounding businesses or the property owners needed or wanted. Right now, they wouldn't be able to do that because the zoning's not in place for parking to support the nearby commercial businesses. Additionally, if they needed or wanted another type of development back there, having it all be one zoning then would allow for subdivision, and the subdivision process would be much cleaner, having it be all one zoning district. Any future development would need to come back to this board.
Correct.
So that just for clarity, no developments being contemplated at this time. They have no plans to do so, but this would clean up what is not, from a planner's perspective, not an ideal situation to have split zoned parcels.
Understood. Any other questions from board members? Is there anyone? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Carrie, on the one map that I'm looking at, it talks about an ingress-egress easement that's abandoned that runs through that property.
Let me pull that. Are you looking at the?
The one that was sent
Yep.
out.
Bear with me from, oh dear. Sorry, my computer's, this was open a moment ago. Are you talking about this map?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And the bottom there, it just kind of runs through. I was just wondering if that plays into this at all. Is it truly abandoned, and is it non-existing, or is it?
So I can certainly check with the town engineer to see what's been filed, not filed, if it's been abandoned. I think the important thing to note is that any future development that if there were to ever be development in this back portion, new easements would be needed, or easements would be required, because development back here, even if it's on one lot, right now it's 3 separate lots.
Right.
So some kind of reconfiguration would even be needed before anything could be contemplated there. And in order for that to happen, proper easements would be needed for access easements, ingress and egress, because you couldn't create a landlocked parcel that doesn't front on a road. So even if
Wouldn't need
these
to
are-
be addressed at this point.
It doesn't need to be addressed for the rezoning. The rezoning is just going to dictate the underlying land uses and, setback requirements and the like, and also which board would review an application. The advantage of having it be all one is it goes to one single board. Right now, the way it sits, it would need to go to 2 boards for anything to happen back there.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from board members?
One other, Carrie, I just want to ask, have we heard from anybody on the Liberty Street side?
We haven't received any communication
Okay.
regarding the application. I believe, was it 20 postcards were sent, I think the clerk mentioned? Yeah, so we haven't received any communication or inquiries regarding this.
I walked up there the other day, and I think it's a suitable for us to do that. Something like that would make much more sense. And as long as, I wanted to make sure the residents on the other side of Liberty as well knew. I mean, there's still a buffer, but that they knew what was going on over in there, and they had an opportunity if they wanted to weigh in.
Sure. And I think, as this board has mentioned in the past, that even when the public hearing is closed, no action is taken on the night of a public hearing. And so there's always an opportunity for additional phone-in or email or written communication to the town board if there's any issues, concerns, in case somebody didn't see it in the mail, or they didn't see it in the paper on the website, but they're seeing it tonight. They still have an opportunity to provide feedback or input that the board can take into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this application? Okay, seeing none. I'm not seeing any phone calls, nor do I see anyone on the website. So if there's no further questions from board members, okay, I will close this public hearing, and we will be putting this on a future work session agenda, and then rendering a decision.
All right.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and you can work with Ms. Ivers going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Moving on to our second public hearing.
To allow a CBD and Kratom retail shop to be relocated at 2135 5 Mile Line Road in the Four Corners zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Webster Herald, April 20th, 2022, posted on town website and town clerk bulletin board. 20 postcards were mailed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Horwitz, is this properly before the town board? Thank you. And Ms. Ivers, would you like to tee this up for us?
I sure would. So Acadia is currently located across 5 Mile Road 5 Mile Line Road at 2118 on the side facing portion of the building. They're looking to relocate to a available tenant space in the plaza across the street at 2135, because it's a new, even though it's the same operator in a new location, requires a new conditional use permit in this district. They're making application for the conditional use permit. Additionally, they'd be looking for the town board's approval of proposed signage that would be needed at the new location. They've provided an overview of the available parking on site. My understanding, and certainly the applicant will be able to verify and or correct, but they are outgrowing their existing space, which I believe was somewhere in the order of 500 square feet. And I think they're about doubling or maybe a little bit more in the space that's available across the way. So this is going to allow the retail operation to continue, but perhaps have more room for its customers.
So all they're doing is moving across the street?
Moving across the street, correct.
Would the
No change
applicant-
in the business, and the applicant is here to make presentation.
Great. Would the applicant like to come forward? Thank you. And just for the record, your name and address, please.
William Cedar, one of the operators at Acadia.
And Sebastian Megan Cedar. 8 Brighton Street, Rochester, New York, 14607. Just moved from Penfield to there.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have your application before us. Do the town board members have any questions before I open it up to the public? And again, if you're watching, you can call us at 340-8771 or reach us online at penfield.org. Go ahead.
Me? Oh, yeah,
Councilperson
great.
Drawe.
Sure, thanks. I just wanted to ask a question. So you're going to move across the street and close your, leave the present location and then in turn?
We're still undecided as to what the future of that space may be. We may need it at least temporarily to be a holding spot for our inventory while we're switching places.
So that wouldn't be an open retail establishment then?
That's correct.
Okay, we will only have the open retail at the other, so there would be a no sign at the?
There would be no sign there.
Okay, and the parking, I know that you've got it, and it's up on the screen right now, that you've, the 8 or 9 spots up in front. I know there's spots in the back as well. Also, there's 4 on the street, which you don't see on that, but then the parking lot across the street. I have been spending a little bit of time and been up in that area a lot. The park, and I've gone in there during especially lunch and dinner times with the restaurant and the flower shop. There's a lot of spots that are full right now. And then sometimes even you go in the back with the other people that work there, the people from the flower barn take 3 or 4. The people from Rosie's use a lot. It seems to me that if there's a lot of retail coming in and out, that you're going to have to use the parking lot the public parking lot across the street. Is that something that you've thought about for your business?
Yeah, and we included that in the application as well for parking that's available, of course.
Okay.
And, we don't have more than 1 or 2 people at store at any given time, so it's not like we're dealing with that much traffic.
Even when you're going from 500 square feet to 1,000, you're still only going to have 1 or 2 people?
Yeah, I mean, it's not packed the whole day. It's a small store, of course.
Because I do notice now, at the location you have now, and I know it's probably certain times of day, but I've looked. Seems to be quite a few people coming in and out of that location all the time. I mean.
Yeah, you got the Joe Gatz next door as well.
Okay.
They're primarily the ones packing that parking lot.
Okay. No, I mean, I see people coming in and out of your I see that it looks like it's kind of busy coming in and out of yours.
No more busier than
Okay.
Divine Hair on the corner. They're much busier than we are for sure.
Okay, I was just curious. Yeah. Okay. Then fine. That's I think.
Have you asked the landlord if you could have designated parking spots in the parking lot for? I'm not sure right now. I don't think they have those. But if it becomes an issue, maybe you could have one. This is Arcadia, just like 2 spots or something.
Yeah, that's definitely doable for sure. What we recommended was to have our employees, ourselves parking into the back.
Yeah.
That'll free up any space in the front for any customers coming in. Rosie's does have, of course, the rush hours with lunch and dinner and what have you. But for the most part, throughout the day, there are a good amount of spaces that are available. And that's just through 1 through 8, not to mention the other 18 kind of in the back there.
Right. It's kind of hard to, I know people do park but it's kind of hard as far as you're on the face of 5 Mile Lane Road to have people drive in the back and know that there's parking back there. I'm not sure.
Just like what we have at the Penfield store, it says on the window, parking in the back.
Right,
Okay.
you'd have the same sign, couldn't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Just take it with you.
Yeah,
to the next plaza.
okay.
No?
Could you just refresh our memory to the hours of operation?
Currently 10 to 7 Monday through Friday and 10 to 6 on the weekends.
And both Saturday and Sunday?
Yep, correct.
7 days a week?
Yep, 7 days.
Okay.
Yep.
How many people do you employ?
We got about 6 altogether, between full and part-time.
But how many are there at one time?
Just at any given location, there's only one person, one employee on at any given time.
Councilperson Ockenden, did I miss you? Did you have a question?
No, not at the...
Okay. All right. So I'm just trying to think. I just want to make sure no other questions by the board members. I do not see any phone calls or anyone online. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this application? Okay. Can we just discuss signage for 1 second? You have a sign already in place. Would you just take that over? Is that the top one?
So we did redo the sign a little bit. So the sign that is at the current location would not be moved over. We would just, we'd leave that up until, we end up doing what we decide there, because it will be storage for that kind of transition period when we're moving everything. So we are getting a new sign. So that sign at the top there is a new design, as well as the other two there. So the 3 total, those are all new designs. We kind of have the option to, kind of pick whatever we like best as well. We can happily go through it with you there. We kind of have a preference with the second one. It's got a little bit of color in the middle. That's the old one right there. So it's a little bit cleaner for sure. It's a nicer look.
Could you zoom on the 3, Carrie?
Do you want to see the
Please.
3? Is this?
Could you zoom in a little bit? Just thank you. Yeah, I have to say I'm not a fan of the leaf.
And forgive me, I think the coloring might not be purple. I think it's showing up on the screen this way. I believe that the printed and the ones, when looking in our attachments, it shows up as, I believe the color is green. Just as for clarity, the coloring is off on this screen for some reason.
It definitely looks more holistic. It's not cannabis leaves, it's kratom leaves. It's related to the coffee plant, so it's not insinuating anything, psychoactive or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so can you, for those of us who don't have this experience, but like the top one, those 3, Acadia, Canna, Kratom, just tell us what those mean, what they're derived from.
Yeah. So Acadia, that's just the business name, That's kind of what people call us, Yeah, we could end up dropping the Canna Kratom at some point, but, we're still kind of building that up, of course. Canna is short for cannabinoids, so you got 120 cannabinoids in the hemp plant. We're, of course, dealing with CBD, CBG, CBN, a bunch of non-psychoactive cannabinoids. And then Kratom, not short for anything. That's plant from Southeast Asia. There's a ton of research on it currently done by the University of Rochester. Phenomenal for pain relief, good for energy. They're currently studying for mood uplifting, anxiety, depression. They're currently delving into it a bit more. But yeah, it is from Southeast Asia. It's not too well known in the U.S., so not too many people have heard of the kratom. But it is becoming popular for sure, especially for people as an alternative to coffee.
Gotcha. And so tell me again, that leaf that's depicted there is?
That's the kratom leaf on the ladder there.
Okay. Yeah. I'll agree with Supervisor Cinti. It's not my favorite. We've got a project still ahead of us in the town to try to identify the future of cannabis sales and that whole thing, that we're not there yet. And I just think, for the novice looking at that, I don't know the difference between the leaves. So to me, that would have given me an indication that maybe this is a place to, stop and buy cannabis, which obviously that's down the road and future discussions and where that's going to be and how it's going to unfold. So I would agree with the supervisor that I'm not a fan of that. That's just my personal opinion. But I know we did work with you on the sign in the current location a couple different times. That's why I'm glad we were able to get a picture, because my Google Street View had something from 10 years ago or longer. So thank you for bringing that up, because I was interested to just see how it's different than what we had approved previously. So.
What if you had that middle one? I like the middle one best too, but if you got rid of that leaf.
Yeah, we can definitely get rid of the leaf. I do like the middle one, just kind of based on the Acadia on the top and the kind of Kratom on the bottom. I think it is a cleaner look for sure. The top one, option A, is kind of all crammed together. If you're driving through, it kind of smashes in. So yeah, we can definitely remove the leaves on option B and come back to the board and get okayed from there.
That sounds good.
No chance you'll take off Kratom and Canna? You know that, and I'll be really, you guys, I'm happy that you got business is wonderful in the Four Corners, but I like the name Acadia. I get that. I guess I was the one last time I had done some research on Kratom and didn't really feel that that's something that I wanted to see. And I still feel, that's my personal opinion, and that I'm not sure about that and not liking it on the sign, but I understand it's, the vote, can't everybody agree to that, and that's fine. I'd love to see just Acadia. I think you're known as Acadia now, but I don't know how you feel about that, That was just a suggestion.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm definitely not against it. I think we need a little bit more time to kind of. It's still very early on. Of course, still, if dispensaries come about, what have you, that'll be a good differentiation as well. Because we're not a dispensary, so that is a thing as well. Because if we don't have any moniker there, people can kind of assume anything at that point, especially since it is kind of more holistic end and what have you.
I understand.
But if it's Canna and Kratom, at least it's not cannabis.
Understood.
I might add that we are getting more and more people referred to us by physicians who are recommending to their patients, instead of using opiate-based painkillers, to use Kratom. So it is a substitute for opiates. And more doctors are asking. Matter of fact, I had a customer last week ask me specifically to address that because her doctor recommended Kratom specifically for her instead of taking an opiate.
Yeah, it's much safer. The research shows it's much safer. Of course, there's a lot of information out there on either end. But, if you're really delving into the individual experience with Kratom, there's tens of thousands of, literally life-saving experiences out there. And I think that outweighs any negative aspects to it, especially since, it's non-addictive, it's not really harmful to you, less is more. So it's not really something that you can abuse.
You don't have to sell me on it. That's
but that's just for your own personal
and I will
knowledge
do some homework on it. My son happens to be a pharmacist, so I do get some information from and so I will look into that. Thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
So just to be clear, you're not doing anything differently. All you're doing is moving across the street. So the services you have currently, nothing's going to be added or subtracted to that.
Correct. Nothing is changing. Just bigger spot.
Everything we're selling now will be sold in greater, if you will, expanse.
With a new sign.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Any other questions by board members?
No.
And is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this? Okay, I see no one online, no one on the telephone, so I would declare this public hearing closed. So same deal as the first people who were in front of us. You'll be working with Ms. Ivers. We'll be putting this on a future work session agenda and then rendering a decision.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
Okay, we have reached our first public participation section of our meeting tonight.
Oh.
Bless you.
Thank you.
You can reach us online at penfield.org and also on the phone 340-8771, and you can also speak to us in person. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in person?
Ronald Reitz.
Okay.
God.
Tell you what, would you mind, I've got someone holding on the phone as well. Would you mind if I, okay, thank you. Okay, we have Mr. Linskog, Ed Linskog from 40 Willow Pond Way on the phone.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
The property in question is number 25 Willow Pond Way. It's a project that Jim Costello and I started working on in 2017, and it's now 2022. And we'd certainly like to get it finished. It's under the same ownership, but different management for maintenance. Some of the grading hasn't been finished yet, and the trails are of a condition where they're not wheelchair accessible. We're liking to have the town get involved. In talking to Tim, he tells me that Carrie's in the process of setting up a meeting with Jeff. Jeff is aware that that's going to happen, and he's looking forward to her phone call.
You know, Ed, I just wanted to quickly respond to you. That meeting was supposed to happen this Friday where we were going to visit, and because of illness, it has to be postponed. So it's definitely on our radar.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
There's a lot of illness in this building currently now with Jeff is dealing with an outbreak of COVID.
We'll stay away for a little while. Yeah. Okay.
No, most of the residents are healthy.
Oh, good. Okay. We'll stay safe, okay?
The other item is the Irondequoit Creek Trail from behind Tops over to Penfield Road.
Right.
That's going to require some public funding and probably some engineering done because of the washout that occurred during a flood. Just want to make sure that that's not being forgotten, because that's a link in the Irondequoit Trail that we'd like to see get finished this year as the sidewalk up the hill is being completed.
Okay.
And then in talking with Tim Masterton, there's a trail rebuilt north of Ellison Park that's on Baker Commodities property. The easement is all in place for that, but Tim needs direction from Kerry and the town board as to what he needs to do so he can include it in his work schedule and budget.
Okay. I will get together. I'll circle back with Tim Masterton and town board members at a future meeting. Okay?
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Ed. Stay safe. Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to cut him off. Mr. Reitz, thank you for your patience. Okay, could you state your name and address for the record, please?
Ron Reitz, 1689 Scribner Road.
Thank you.
So I'm here to continue our discussion regarding the fence that I wish to put up on my property to surround a garden. Just the background, an 8-foot tall fence that I was written up that because it violates code, supposedly. And I say supposedly because that's the ongoing issue, the interpretation of the town code. And there's been a recent development. Mr. Horowitz provided me with a letter, some explanation from the town's point of view on Monday, and I take exception to the letter, the points, the bullets that he outlined in the letter, and I went ahead and wrote up a rebuttal, and I'd like to take this opportunity to read my letter, and shouldn't take too long. I rehearsed it with my daughter in maybe 7-8 minutes, if that. So, Dear Supervisor Cinti, dear Penfield Town Board, dear Mr. Horowitz, I'd like to take this opportunity to make public and enter into the town record correspondence that I received from Penfield Town Attorney, Mr. Richard J. Horowitz, and my rebuttal. The correspondence in this is his opinion related to the ongoing matter concerning allowable fence height as specified by the town code book, and my rebuttal is in the form of this letter. Attached is the letter Mr. Horowitz sent me on Monday, May 2nd, 2022 at 8:22 p.m. It was sent as an attachment to an email with the subject line fence height and was prefaced and reads as follows. Dear Mr. Reitz, attached hereto as a PDF is my letter regarding the above matter for your information and use. And his letter reads, Dear Mr. Reitz, it has been brought to my attention that 1, you continue to press town officials to adopt your definition of farm purposes. 2, that you continue to make unreasonable demands such as I write you a special personal memorandum of law in one day setting forth my opinion regarding the meaning of farm purposes. And 3, that the fact that the town's boards and officials have interpreted the meaning of those words for over 40 years as applying to operations that conduct farming as a primary business is just not a good answer. However, as a legal matter, that is precisely the answer. What your opinion is or mine is irrelevant. What is legally determinative on that issue is how the town has defined those words in prior matters. I trust this explanation clarifies the issue for you. Therefore, if you would still like to build an 8-foot fence currently, I suggest that you consider applying to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance to permit an 8-foot high fence. Your continued pressuring of town officials under these circumstances is unreasonable, unproductive, and should stop immediately. Respectfully yours, Richard J. Horowitz, Penfield Town Attorney. My excitement in finally receiving correspondence from Mr. Horowitz quickly faded as I read the letter. I was appalled by the misinformation contained within the letter. Let me explain. Item 1 is false. I have yet to compel anyone to adopt my definition of farm purposes. My ongoing request is to have town authorities provide me with a legitimate definition of the term based on fact, not opinion. I've provided facts regarding the definition of farm purposes as permitted in the town code book. Item 2 is false. As stated above, my continued reasonable and appropriate request of Mr. Horowitz and other town officials is to provide a definition of the term farm purposes. I did use the term legal justification in an April 20th, 2022 email exchange with Supervisor Cinti regarding the town's position in this matter. Mr. Horowitz used poetic license to edit my words to his assertion that I continue to make unreasonable demands such as I write a special memorandum of law, etc., which is not true. Note, attempts to communicate directly with Mr. Horowitz have been unfruitful. He does not return phone calls. His email his email contact information is confidential, and the information he previously provided the code enforcement officials regarding this matter has been withheld from me, citing attorney-client privilege. Regarding item 3, item 3 is true. I agree with Mr. Horowitz that business as usual and that farming exists for commercial enterprises only is not a good answer. I'm embarrassed by the prospect that the town of Penfield has wrongly enforced a town code for 40 years, or 46, depending on who's speaking, just because that's how it's always been done. Regrettably, Mr. Horowitz continues, as a legal matter, this is precisely the answer. I'm not sure exactly what is meant with that sentence, but Mr. Horowitz summarizes by writing that if a precedent exists, then nothing else matters. That is to say, this is how it's always been done. I do agree with his statement that opinions are irrelevant, yet my declaration of fact has been ignored and continues to go unheard while opinions abound. The explanation provided by Mr. Horowitz in his letter does not clarify the issue, as it contains no statement of fact. I'm disappointed by my town I'm disappointed that my town government chooses to rule with an iron fist in this matter, proclaiming control over me because I challenged their authority. This is further evidenced by Mr. Horowitz's closing remark advising me to stop immediately. The arrogance revealed by code enforcement officials, our former town supervisor, and now the town attorney is unacceptable. My request from the beginning was and continues to be simple. Please provide me with a substantiated definition of farm purposes, and I will be content. I'm disappointed that this matter persists without resolution. In closing, I'd like to once again express my frustration with this ongoing matter. I've experienced a heavy-handed governing approach that lacks transparency, accountability, and common sense. This needs to change. I believe I've ruffled some feathers in pursuing this matter. Please stop serving yourselves and please consider the best interests of the town. I look forward to your response and a timely resolution to this issue. Respectfully, Ronald M. Rates. So again, the letter that I received didn't sit well with me. Those were the words that came to me and what I was able to compose, and I wanted to present that to you, that this matter, again, I believe is a simple matter. It hinges on the term farm purposes. I've read the town code. I've applied it as it's written. In return, I've gotten many opinions, nothing that's supported by fact, and that's very frustrating on my part. Again, Mr. Horowitz reiterates what Mr. LaFountain had said when I came here on November 3rd, that this is how it's always been done, and that I need to live with that way, or that mode of operation, and I refuse to. I don't think it's appropriate. I don't think it's right. Supervisor Cinti has told me that since informing her of this issue, that work is being done to correct the code, that still leaves me without the opportunity to erect my fence and probably have a garden this year, or the garden at least that I would like.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
You were offered the opportunity to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a variance this year while the town code is being worked on.
Correct.
Why won't you do it?
Right now, I believe it's a matter of principle with me. I haven't done anything wrong. I shouldn't be forced to spend $70 to make an application, to sit before the Zoning Board of Appeals and subject myself to an opinion that, as Jim Costello had informed me, may or may not go my way. There's no guarantee that the Zoning Board of Appeals will rule in my favor. And again, that's, in my opinion, that's wrong. That it shouldn't be that way.
Understood, and thank you very much for your comments. I think that I would just reiterate what I've said before, which is I think you brought up some excellent points about some weaknesses in the code. And I do think our code should be updated, and we are working on that. Only problem is the code doesn't change overnight. It is a process.
And I understand that. Excuse me.
Because that has to go through its own legislative process, right? We have to enforce the code as it is. It's like, I'm trying to think, like a speed limit, right? Maybe they're thinking about increasing it, but you have to enforce what's there right now. And so that was why we offered a variance, the possibility of a variance, which, I think it is a very easy thing to do and get you on your way with your garden this year. But I cannot change the code unilaterally. This town board can't do that. And we still have to go through the process.
So there's other circumstances that play into this as well. The Victory Garden, the Penfield Victory Garden, that has a fence surrounding it taller than 6 feet, yet nobody's doing anything about that.
No. I said I would be addressing it with the Penfield Community Garden, and I will be addressing it.
You will be, but you haven't yet, and it's It's been 5 months since I've brought that to the town's attention. In my meeting, or when I sat before the board on the 3rd of November, Mr. LaFountain, he was adamant about the town needs to follow its own rules, and unfortunately, it was at the end of his term, he left, and the fact that you knew nothing about it when I first approached you, that information hadn't been transferred to you, that's frustrating. An oversight, I understand things like that happen, but no.
I understand, and I wish I could get to everything in a really timely fashion. I can't. I'm just going to be honest with you. I will do my very best, but I'm very clear to the building department, too, that I think there needs to be some changes, and we should be walking the talk as well.
So regarding the Victory Garden, have they applied for a variant?
I have not had an opportunity to discuss it with them yet.
But they know of the situation. I'm sure they do, because I've called the Recreation Department to get information to speak with somebody on the Victory Garden Committee, and I was told, no, we can't discuss that. It's a town matter. And again, it's my comment towards the end of my letter that the lack of transparency, that things are going on behind the brick wall that I'm not privy to. And this is, again, it's a simple matter, and yet you're making it complicated.
Okay.
I'm still, so this letter from Mr. Horowitz was meant to address the issue of farm purposes. He doesn't provide me with a definition of farm purposes other than it's always been done this way. Excuse me. It's been done this way for the past 40 years. Mr. LaFountain said it was 46 years in his time as a public servant in the town of Penfield. That's how it's always been done. That was his justification.
Mr. Reeds, if I can just interject.
Please.
I do not intend to argue with you whatsoever. It is a matter of fact that the town has interpreted those words in the way I put in the letter. That was not my opinion.
Based on what,
It was
though?
not my opinion. It was not your opinion. It's what's been done factually.
Based on what?
By the boards. So, I can't say it any clearer. You don't seem to accept it, which is fine, but that is the legal truth of the matter.
But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't follow what's in the town code book.
Actually, that is what normally happens when, let's say, for example, something went to the Supreme Court. The justices make an interpretation of that. It's kind of a similar thing where the boards in the town make an interpretation of the code. It happens all the time in the zoning board and also in the planning board. At this point, I feel like we're kind of going down the path of no return. We're just at an impasse. Very, very happy and willing to discuss it with you further, and we can have Mr. Horowitz present.
May I offer something?
Yes.
So, Mr. Rees, it seems to me you have you do have two choices right now. You can wait until the code is looked at and reworked and updated, I should say, or you can go to the zoning board. I mean, if it's something you want to pursue for this year, they're a community board in Penfield that are very open to people coming. They have issues like this all the time.
I understand. I've come and witnessed their operation, and that, based on what I saw there, and so comments from Mr. Costello too, that it may or may not work in my favor, and
no disrespect to Mr. Costello, but he isn't, he's no longer a town employee. I mean, he's retired, so, I mean, I do know people that have gone to the zoning board. I'm not saying, one way or the other, but you do have two options. If you'd like to wait until, until the code is updated and looked at. It's not going to, as the Supervisor Cinti said, it won't happen tomorrow. She does have quite a few things on her plate. I mean, this is tonight, and there are oversights, and we've we know that too. I mean, there's things that happen that, we wish that we were updated, too, and they can't be we can't hear everything, know everything. There's a lot going on to the workings of the town.
May I ask, going back to the Victory Garden, the Penfield Victory Garden, have they been issued a code violation?
I don't know.
So
I don't know. I don't issue code violations. I would guess not.
Why?
Because I'm going to tell them they have to either apply for a variance or they need to lower their fence. And then if they decide that they don't want to comply, we can issue a violation.
So a neighbor saw me installing my fence posts, and again, right now, I don't have a fence installed.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbor saw me installing fence posts, called an inspector, and he promptly showed up and wrote me the violation. I pointed out the issue with the community garden fence on November 3rd. Here we are 5 months later, and it sounds like you're telling me I should have gone and spoken with Mr. D'Alessandro or somebody in the building inspection department to get a violation written against them.
No, but I think that the choice is exactly what Councilperson Drawe said, and I'm not really sure that there's anything else to add to the conversation.
I do have one other item then, please. So I've been pressing this issue that the fence code, how it speaks to the 8 foot or the maximum height of 6 feet. One that I haven't touched much in recent discussions is the fact that I'm zoned R120, so a residential district in which customary agricultural operations are permitted. And as part of customary agricultural operations, farm structures are permitted without question, and it's my contention that the fence is a farm structure, and so I should be able to install this fence the way I wish without height restrictions based on that part of the town code book. Any comment
Mr.
on
Reitz,
that?
I just feel like we're going around in circles. I agree with you that we need to adjust our code and bring it up to better compliance with what the recommendations are from the Cornell Cooperative Extension. I agree with you. But the way the code is interpreted now and written right now, we can't do that. We have to go through the process of changing it. I'm giving you an answer, it's just you don't want to hear it.
Oh, I want to hear an answer. Again,
It's not the answer you want to hear.
I want to know why farm purposes are
Because the
commercial.
boards have interpreted farm purposes to mean for commercial farming purposes only.
Then write
Now-
that, please, somewhere. Give me that as an official.
No, because we're going to change it, hopefully.
But you're saying, yeah, you're going to change it, but you're holding me to a standard that.
Yes, because that is not in force yet. The new code has not been written yet, that's why. Again, I'm answering your question, just not the way you want me to.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I am very happy to continue the conversation with Mr. Horowitz and you present, too.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I really am. I'll have my admin reach out to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room who wishes to speak? Okay, I do not see anyone on the phone or waiting online, so I'll declare this public participation session closed, and we'll move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. Anything?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then let's move on to our approval of minutes from April 6, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 6th.
I'll second those.
I have a motion to approve by Councilperson Ockenden, second by Councilperson Drawe. Any
Cinti.
comments or questions?
Oops, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Are there any petitions received?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Then we'll move on to resolutions by function.
Budget amendment in the general fund for Dayton's Corners.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas the annual Dayton's Corners School Pie Social will be held on June 5th, where there will be ponies and activities, and whereas the town board desires to have an up-to-date budget in relation to current appropriations and revenues, now therefore be it resolved that the following 2022 budget amendment be approved, and that's in the amount of $650 for Dayton's Corners expenses. It's going to go from, from revenue, budgeted surplus of $650 to appropriations, Dayton's Corners expenses for $650. Thank you.
I have a motion by Councilperson Drawe, second by Councilperson Kohl. Any questions or comments? Okay, roll call vote.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes. Seeker determination and order setting public hearing on establishment of Penfield Ambulance District Number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas an environmental assessment form, map, plan, and report, having been presented to the town board of the town of Penfield, Monroe County, New York, and filed with the town clerk for public inspection in accordance with Article 12A of the town law for the establishment of the Penfield Ambulance District Number 3. So whereas this area of proposed ambulance district is the entire area of the town of Penfield, the boundaries of which are shown and described in Schedule A attached hereto and made a part hereof. And whereas the maximum amount to be expended in 2023 for the performance or supplying of ambulance services is $75,000, after which year the annual amount may be lower or higher as the case may be. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield hereby is designated as lead agency herein, that the proposed action establishing a town of Penfield Ambulance District Number 3 is an unlisted action under seeker and is hereby declared not to have a significant impact on the environment, and is further ordered that the town board of the town of Penfield shall meet and hold a public hearing on this at the Penfield Town Hall on June 1st, 2022 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of conducting a public hearing on the proposal to establish the said ambulance district, at which time and place all persons interested in the subject herefore may be heard concerning the same. And it is further resolved and ordered that a copy of this resolution certified by the town clerk shall be published at least once in the official newspaper of the town, and the first publication hereof is not to be less than 10 days or more than 20 days before the date of the set of the hearing. A copy of this resolution should be posted on the official signboard of the town as prescribed by law. Thank you.
All right, I have a motion by Councilperson Drawe and a second by Councilperson Ockenden. I do want to just comment that this is really just taking, we currently have 2 ambulance districts in town, Ambulance District 1, Ambulance District 2. For the purposes of this hearing, we just want to combine them and just create an Ambulance District 3. There is no cost, no change, it's just cleaning up some boundaries on paper. Anything else?
That's great.
Okay.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes. Approving the rezoning of 1234, 1250, and 1258 Northrop Road from rural agriculture 2 to rural residential 1.
So moved.
Second.
An application has been received by the Penfield Town Board pursuant to Chapter 250, 15.1 of the Code to amend the zoning ordinance and map to rezone 1237, 1250, 1258 Northrop Road from rural agricultural 2 to rural residential 1. And whereas the town board was determined to be the best suited to serve as the lead agency with the meaning of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, which is seeker, and has designated itself as the lead agency pursuant to seeker. Whereas the town of Penfield held a public meeting here at the Penfield Town Hall on April 6, 2022 at 7 p.m., in which the applicant presented the facts of the application and where citizen input was received, and the town board referred this application to the planning board for review, and the planning board reviewed this application at their April 14th work session meeting, resulting in a favorable review. The town board, acting as lead agency, pursuant to the requirements of seeker, has classified this proposal as an unlisted action. The board has reviewed parts 1, 2, 3 1, 2, and 3 of the environmental assessment form, which is attached. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board determines the rezoning of these 3 parcels will not have a significant adverse effect on the environment and adopts a negative declaration pursuant to seeker. Be it further resolved that the request for zoning of 1237, 1250, and 1258 Northrop Road from rural agriculture to rural residential be granted based on the following favors and considerations, and I will read these. Number 1 is the proposed rezoning is consistent with the recommendation of the 2022 Penfield's Comprehensive Plan Committee review of this proposed rezoning. Number 2, the planning board provided the town board with a positive referral. Number 3 is future development of this vacant parcel would need to conform to the bulk use and development review standards set forth in our multi-residential zoning district. And 4th, this proposal rezoning provides an appropriate transition between the business and the commercial zoning districts to the south of the parcels and the neighboring residential developments to the north. So be it further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby authorized and directed to give the necessary notice of such change in the zoning to the departments, agencies, and offices having jurisdiction in this matter, and to publish the same as prescribed by law, and cause the zoning amendment to be entered into the minutes of these proceedings. Thank you.
I just want to note for the record that it is 1234, not 1237.
Did I read?
I just don't want the person at 1237 to think that
Did I read
there's a
it?
change if they're watching.
It's 1234, 1250, and 1258.
Okay, I heard 1237 when we were reading it, but that's fine.
Did I read that? I apologize.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Motion by Councilperson Drawe, second by Councilperson Kohl.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes. Approving the rezoning of 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road from rural agriculture 2 to residential 120.
So moved.
Second.
So whereas an application has been received by the Penfield Town Board pursuant to Chapter 250, 15.1 of the code to amend the zoning ordinance and map to rezone 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road from rural agricultural 2 to residential 120. Whereas the Penfield Town Board was determined to be the best suited to serve as the lead agency within the meaning of the State Environmental Quality Review Act and has designated itself as the lead agency pursuant to seeker. Whereas the Town of Penfield Town Board held a public hearing here on April 6, 2022, in which the applicant presented the facts of the application and where citizen input was received. And the Town Board referred this application to the Planning Board for review, and the Planning Board reviewed the application at their April 14th work session meeting, resulting in a favorable review. The Town Board, acting as lead agency pursuant to the requirements of seeker, has classified this proposal as an unlisted action. The Board has reviewed Parts 1, 2, and 3 of the environmental assessment form. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Board determines the rezoning of these 3 parcels will not have a significant and adverse effect on the environment and adopts a negative declaration pursuant to seeker. So be it further resolved that the request for rezoning of the 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road from rural agricultural 2 to residential 120 be granted based on the following considerations. This proposed, number 1, the proposed rezoning was consistent with the recommendation of the 2022 Penfield Comprehensive Plan Committee review of the proposed rezoning. And number 2, the Planning Board provided our Town Board with this positive referral. 3, future development of this vacant land parcel would need to conform to the bulk use and development review standards set forth in the multi-residential zoning district. And finally, the proposed rezoning provides an appropriate transition between the business and commercial zoning districts to the south of the parcels and the neighboring residential developments to the north. Be it further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to give the necessary notice of such change in the zoning to the departments, agencies, and offices having jurisdiction in this matter, and to publish the same as prescribed by law, and cause the zoning amendment to be entered into the minutes of these proceedings. Thank you.
I have a motion by Councilperson Drawe, second by Councilperson Ockenden.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
I apologize. Were there any questions by the board?
No.
Okay.
Pretty standard.
Authorization to grant a utility easement to Monroe County Water Authority at 1164 Wayland Road.
So moved.
Second.
Whereas Monroe County Water Authority has requested a 15-foot wide utility easement along both the Atlantic and Wayland Road frontages of town-owned land located at 2701 Atlantic Avenue. And whereas Monroe County Water Authority is planning for the future in order to best serve the town of Penfield and its residents with water, and whereas it is in the best interest of the town of Penfield to grant said easement request. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board grants to Monroe County Water Authority a 15-foot wide utility easement along the road frontages of Atlantic Avenue and Wayland Road at 2701 Atlantic Avenue. This easement to be reviewed and approved by the town attorney. Be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted subject to a 30-day permissive referendum period, and the town clerk be and hereby is directed to post and publish a notice in the manner prescribed by law.
I have a motion by Councilperson Ockenden, second by Councilperson Drawe. Any questions? Okay.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign recreation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the town supervisor to sign this one recreation contract, which only amends Resolution 22T-130, previously passed in this year.
Okay. May I have a roll call vote? I do have a motion by Councilperson Kohl and Councilperson Ockenden. I seconded.
Cinti.
Aye.
Drawe.
Aye.
Kohl.
Aye.
Ockenden.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Moving on, is there any old business before the board? Any new business? Okay, seeing none, we're at the second section of public participation for the evening. You can call us at 340-8771 or reach us online at penfield.org. I'll just give that a minute. I do want to announce in the meantime that there is no executive session following this meeting, and our next legislative meeting is May 18th, 2022. I still am not seeing anyone. Is there anyone in the audience? Okay, seeing none, I'll declare that public participation session closed, and our motion to adjourn at 8:25 p.m. I'll declare the meeting adjourned at 8:25 p.m., and may the 4th be with you.